that you didn't represent something shiny and golden and special and clean and all the glorious things, that you weren't a shining star at one point in time, it's okay. People around you are ashamed of who you used to be. People around you are ashamed of when you didn't look like they look, that when you weren't so nice and so polished and looking so good that they can brag on you. They don't want you to talk about that, but that is your story. That is what's going to change someone's life. That is what's going to change your life. You have to look back at the time when you were in the fire, when you were in the flame, when you were by yourself and no one was around. You have to look back at that time and say, you know what? I made it through. You made it through that time. You made it through the fire when the flames were raging. You made it through and you came out on the other side. And that is the story you tell. That is how you change lives. That is how you change your life, by keeping that in mind and not being ashamed of what you went through one bit. And don't you dare let anyone else tell you to be ashamed of it and not tell your story. I am Aaron Onelove Kinzer, and I'm telling you to testify. This is your morning motivation.
Testify. I believe in that. I believe in telling your story. I believe in just being raw, being transparent, because I believe that's one way that we not only heal, but we actually help somebody else, right?
Facts. 100% facts.
All right. So let me go ahead and get into the first one. It says, I was looking at first of all, tell me who you are, what you do, and why you do it. Let's go ahead and get that out first.
Well, like you said, my name is Aaron Kinzer, Aaron M. Kinzer. I perform as a poet, a spoken word artist under the title One Love. That's an old business name I come up with about 20 years ago, and it's brought back to life now as my personal moniker, because I became known as that after I stopped doing business way a long time ago, and that's tied into the pre-story, the backstory. But I'm Aaron Kinzer, poet, journalist, author, motivational speaker, advocate, activist. Overall, great person. I like to refer to myself as that. I like to live up to that title. I was told at 11 years old that I had an anointing and a calling on my life by Bishop John M. Harrison from Gary, West Virginia. He told my mother and me that, and I've tried to own up to that since I began trying to own up to being a good person. Once I began to change my life, that's what I became to own up to, is that I have an anointing and a calling on my life and a purpose and a meaning. And I am seeking to live that out and give myself and give my story back to the people. So I'm a journalist, author, poet, motivational speaker. I'm in the process of publishing my first children's book called All You Can Be. I'm a kids empowerment author. So all my books for children are geared towards empowering the children and helping them believe in themselves, representation. So I want to focus primarily on children of color because they don't see themselves in literature, and it's important that they do. So it's important that they see what they can see. See what they can be. You know what I'm saying? To quote a good friend of mine, Miss Lucky Charms. Yeah, man, that's what I'm on. That's what I'm about. That's what I'm doing in every way possible. So that requires me to testify. That requires me to tell my story. Without no cut, without no shade, without no dilution. Just give it to you raw and uncut, because that's how life gave it to me.
All right, definitely. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. I was reading your Newsweek article, and it said I was a drug dealer making $50,000 a week. And then your world came crashing down. So tell me a little about the before and then when your world came crashing down.
Well, absolutely, man. It's hard for people to see that and be like, what, 50,000 a week, man? Stop playing, stop lying. But if anybody was ever in the street, in the hustle game, in the drug business, and you were in the business and not just a part of it or a person who had drugs for sale, but actually a dealer, as I was, a distributor doing what I was doing, So, when you get a good connection, you get a good connection. And that's just how it goes. When you get somebody who got large amounts for good prices and you can obtain it for that for a good number, then you're liable to see upwards of $50,000 worth of profit or revenue a week, and I saw that and I wasted it. I blew it every chance I get. Just like somebody who has a broke mentality, they make over $100,000 a year, but they still live paycheck to paycheck. It's just a big paycheck. But it's paycheck to paycheck,
right?
You know what I mean? So likewise, I had money coming in hand over fist, shoebox money, trash bag money. I saw that, you know what I mean? But however, I still lived consignment to consignment. You know what I mean? I pay
Mhm.
back what I owe, but I spent all my money. I blew through it. I ran through it. I used it. I spent foolishly. You know, so that's the backstory. You know, 2000 from 2002 to 2009, 2010, I experienced the highs and lows of the drug game. You know, going back and forth up and down the highway, carrying shipments of narcotics back and forth from Carolina to from Atlanta, from Carolina back to Tennessee, where I was living at, and doing my thing. You know, that's what I was into in my all through my 20s, nonstop, 100%. I didn't work a regular job. That was my job. You know what I mean? I was a drug dealer up and down, through and through, you know. And that's what the article was about. The article in Newsweek is about my attitude towards work. You know,
Mhm.
I wrote that article to show that my attitude about work and the working man at that time was a real snobby, looking down my nose on the working man, on my customers, the people who came to me to purchase their drugs. I looked at them as less than, because I had a nasty, twisted, warped mentality and view of the world. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? I thought I was something because I'm making money, but all in all, I'm feeding poison and hurting families at the same time, the same way my family was hurt 20 years prior to that. But I
Right.
had the nerve to have a negative attitude towards regular people, and it wasn't until I got to jail in 2010 when I finally was arrested. June 16, 2010, I went into custody for the state of Virginia, and I was bored. You know, when you're in jail, you get bored. You're in there for hours and hours and hours with nothing to do in the jail pod. So, man, sign me up for a job. Give me a job. I'll work. Forget it. I got to get out of this dorm. So
Mhm.
I went to work in the kitchen, and I worked in the kitchen for free, for nothing, for no extra pay, for barely an extra tray. You know what I mean? I served slop and food and beans and jailhouse potatoes and half cooked corn on the cob to the rest of the jail population, just in exchange to change the monotony, to break up the monotony of my day that had to be in another part of the jail for
Mhm.
8, 9, 10 hours a day. And so my attitude about work changed. My attitude about the working man changed. And I began to evolve as I was experiencing my incarceration and different form of my incarceration while being a worker. So I evolved into later on throughout my prison bid, when I finally got to a prison yard where there's a different atmosphere, you know, where there's some semblance of a life, you know what I mean? Just a shrunk down micro version of the macro world, you know. I became a worker advocate. I became an advocate for work. I became an advocate for using work not to earn money while you're in prison, but using it to change your perception of the world that we live in. Because a lot of guys I come across came from the life I came from. They were drug dealers,
Mhm.
robbers, they were stealers, they were shooters, they were drug addicts. You know, they were people who had a warped mentality and a warped view about the world we lived in. So the article is about that. It is about how I went from earning money hand over fist like that in my 20s to by 10 years later, by the time I'm 37, 38, 39, on my 8th, ninth, 10th year of incarceration, I'm now an advocate for people to work in the prison system, which
Okay.
which is really contradictory to my position as an advocate and freedom and justice. However, it's a necessity when people come from a warped environment like a lot of us come from.
Right. And a lot of time, and just by you saying that, because a lot of us, especially the ones that did federal time, we started out with 12 cents an hour or 24 cents, and we was like, it's like we're being enslaved here. We're working for pennies, and we are working. So for you to say that you're an advocate for work in the prison, is that because you were trying to change the mindset of them about working? So when they did come out, or how's that?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's about the mindset. I mean, we can't look over the fact or gloss over at all or minimize that the prison system and working in the prison system is definitely an extension of America's history of slavery, hands down. This is known.
Mhm.
This is a fact. This has been recorded and documented, and that can't be looked over. You know,
Right.
not one bit. You know, the system I worked in, Unicorp, was created in 1934 in the New Deal by President Roosevelt, and so
Mhm.
forth and so on. You know, so we're talking almost 100 years of prison work used to quote unquote rehabilitate the inmate. Now, is that their goal? Is that their purpose? I don't think so. It sounds good on paper, but that's not the goal of the system. However, it has to be the goal of the individual.
Mhm.
You know, so I didn't work for them. I didn't work for their 23 cents an hour, which in the back of my book, in my appendix, I have my first pay stub from my first month of working for 23 cents an hour. I earned like 12 or $13 for 140 hours of work. You know,
Been there.
it's
Yep.
a real thing. I did that.
Mhm.
However, was I humiliated? Was I exploited and taken advantage of? Absolutely. But did I grow as an individual because I needed to grow? And the answer is yes.
Okay.
And sadly, most of the individuals who I came across, who I did my time with, they also needed to grow. They also needed to become different individuals and have a new frame and a new outlook on life, which is what my mother prayed for, which is what their mothers and parents are praying for.
Mm-hmm.
And one way to get that new outlook is to go through a period of exploitation where the system is making money off of you hand over fist, but you, on your personal journey, your personal growth, need to experience that because some guys I lived with never had a job, never worked a job in their life. We're talking about 30, 40-year-old men. They never punched a clock,
Mm-hmm.
never had a driver's license, never seen life the way that regular civilians live it. And the only way they get a glimpse of that is to experience that while they're doing their incarceration.
Right. That is
It's,
so true.
it's
I
unfortunate
talk,
they got to be exploited during that period.
yeah.
But, that's for the time being, that's what they have. And they got to play the cards that dealt to them.
Right. All right. So we know that you're in, and far as you was in the drug world, far as getting sentenced, you got sentenced to 13 years. Now you had children when you left, right? You had
Yeah.
three kids. Three kids.
Yeah.
How old were they when you left?
8, 2, and 1.
So how was that? Your relationship with your kids while you was incarcerated. How did you still remain dad? Or
Man, that is something. First of all, first I was sentenced to 15 years and 8 months. I served 13,
okay.
but the sentence was 15 years, 8 months. However, the relationship with the children was it took a village. It took a village. It took some caring and empathetic people in my corner, sympathetic people who gave a damn about me being in their life, who cared if I called, who cared if their children knew who I was, if my children knew who I was. And so therefore, people got to answer that phone. You're at the mercy of family. You're at the mercy of somebody spending that $3 a call.
Mm,
Somebody answering that phone for you, that collect call, that prepaid call, putting that money in your books. And I was able to and fortunate to have a good corner, a good network, a good village
mm-hmm,
who was an integral part in me maintaining a relationship with my children. Number one, just being able to call. That's
mm-hmm.
all I had was the pen and paper, and at 2 and 1 years old, they couldn't read. So all
Right.
I could do was call and talk, and hey baby, hey son, how you doing? And hey dad, how about how that, and then they hang the phone up and they run off. But
right.
just that little bit every day, every other day, just those little few seconds of hearing my voice on the phone allowed me to remain present psychologically, subconsciously in their minds.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the studies have shown, and this is what works as far as being incarcerated and trying to maintain some kind of a semblance of a presence in your child's life. My oldest was 8 years old. She was my first child. She's seen a lot prior to me going inside. We had a real, really, really strong bond because I got to spend a lot of time with her one on one as a young single father, and co-parenting with her mother, and then my girlfriend at the time. So I was able to write her and my mother. Man, my mother. You know, Happy Women's History Month. My mother deserves an award for keeping me present in my children's life and burning that highway up 50 miles each way to pick up my oldest daughter so that my side of the family could remain a presence in her mind and her life. And my mother answering that call and giving my daughter the phone so I could talk to her when she was 8 and 9 and 10. And then years later, my mother ended up taking in my oldest daughter at age when she was in the 8th grade, and
Wow.
raising my oldest daughter through high school,
Wow.
playing my role. What I mean?
Wow.
Doing what I'm supposed to do. My mother, handicapped mother, stroke victim, did this. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And then my youngest children's mother, who was also my co-defendant. You know what I mean? Like what I put her through, and she experienced some time away from our children, but still caring about me enough and caring about our children enough, not making it about her and our differences, to allow me to be able to tap in and call in and reach my children and still share with me their ups and downs, and allow me the opportunity to be a disciplinarian verbally to my children respectfully, and
Mhm.
still trying to have some presence in their world. So it took a village, man, and it was a real struggle, but I couldn't have been able to do it had it not been for the village around me and some strong women. Once again, happy Women's History Month, man, because it's the women who pick up the pieces. In my world, it was the women and my brother, but it's not Brothers History Month, it's Women's History Month. So
That's
double
right.
salute to the women, my mother, my children's mother, who picked up the pieces and allowed me to remain a father in their life, and gave me the chance to maintain a presence so that my transition upon release wouldn't be so drastic, and I'm thankful for that.
Right. And the thing is, and you're able to be a parent or a father from on the inside, and we have sometimes we have fathers as well as mothers on the outside that are not active in their children's life. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing to say, look, my situation is not going to change me being a dad. I'm still going to be active in my kids life whether I'm there or I'm not. And like you said, kudos to your mother and to the village that was there to help, because not only do we do the time, but they do the time with us as well, right?
Absolutely,
And I think
absolutely.
I think I heard on one of your morning motivations, you said, "Don't let do the time, but don't let the time do you." Explain
Facts.
that a little bit. Explain that a little bit.
Man, anybody who's listening under the sound of my voice, if you've been incarcerated, you heard that saying.
Yep.
And for the people who've not have been incarcerated, that means that you have to live life. Don't let life just happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just be there and wake up and go about your day and you just exist. No. So as far as being incarcerated, doing the time means be active, be proactive about your future, because you're getting out. For the most part, most people in incarceration are getting out. At
Mm-hmm.
some point in time, they're gonna walk the regular streets as everyone else, as a regular civilian. So doing the time means every day being proactive, pushing forward, getting better, performing introspection, self-reflection, so that you can make yourself a better individual and prepare for the day that you touch down. Prison, I'll often describe prison as training camp. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, you training camp, you getting ready to be in the game, to be in the game of life. The
Mm-hmm.
regular game of life that most of us wasn't participating in. That's why we got to prison. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So now doing the time means doing it. I'm talking about being active, classes, learning, networking, always questioning things, and looking at an alternative way of doing things, looking at life through a different lens, questioning everything you've ever been taught to just continue to make yourself better. And that's doing the time, not letting the time do you. And that relates to when you get released. Just show up for life. You got to show up for every day. You got to do your time ever out here in this world, or else you would just exist and you would just go through life and with no meaning and purpose.
Right. Let me change a little bit here. So you're saying that, far as don't let the time do you, do the time, do whatever we have to do in reference to the time. Um, Now, did your writing ability start while you was incarcerated, or were you writing before, or is that a skill that you picked up while you was there?
Um, I'm gonna say it started before, but not directly before. It started years before, probably when I was in high school and my late teens, early 20, like 19, 20 years old. I was influenced by the Def Poetry Jam. I was influenced by hip hop, of course. So, I wanted always to be a rapper and to write the nice rhymes and all that good stuff like that. So, I performed a poem at my high school graduation. I graduated from my church had a school, my ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th grade year, and I
Uh-huh.
was the first graduate from that school. And at my graduation, I read a poem that I wrote. I can't remember the poem, but several people remind me that, like, man, you wrote that long time ago, so we kind of saw this in you. And I'm grateful that they remember it, but I don't remember because I lived a whole lot of life in between then, you
Right,
know.
right.
But while I was incarcerated, I started writing poems early on, 2012, 11, to the kids and stuff like that. But I didn't start taking it serious till 2016 when I started writing poetry, with a purpose, like from a business standpoint. Like, I want to write a book, I want to name it this, I want to write these kind of poems and tailor them to this demographic, this population, to make money. You know what I mean? I'm still a businessman, I'm still a hustler. I still got that drive mentality to do
Hmm.
for myself. So
Hmm.
now I can't do it illegally. So now I'm gonna use something I like to do to create a legal pathway to an income.
Right.
That's the backstory behind me writing. I started journaling. I got into a writing class in 2019. The teacher gave me a address to Columbia University. They were having a incarcerated writers initiative at Columbia. So I submitted a journal entry that I wrote a year before when I was at a camp in Virginia, and I called a tour guide. You know what I mean? So I was talking about where I got in and I gave new people a tour around the facility who'd never been to a camp with no fence. So you
Mm.
got you got guys coming to a camp with no fence, and they've been behind the wall and a barbed wire fence for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and now they're at a place where there's no fence, and it's a culture shock. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So I wrote about me giving them tours around the facility, going into the woods, and they've been exposed to nature when they've been in concrete for so long, and what I saw and what I felt by watching them. You know what I mean? So I wrote about that. I submitted that, and once I saw that Columbia accepted it and published me, you know what I mean? And that was my first published work back in 2022 or 21. I think it was 21. um that kind of really let me know, like, maybe I got something, maybe I can write to the point that somebody's interested in it, not just a journal entry. I don't just find it cool or nice, somebody else is touched by this. So
Mm-hmm.
I began to just write more and write about what I was experiencing and the nuance of prison life and what Hollywood doesn't tell you, and to try to dispel some of the notions that Hollywood has put out there about the life that people who are incarcerated live and what we experience. And that's what I began to do in many facets. And, it took off from there.
All right. So since you are this poet, since you got some, I'm gonna go ahead and put you out. Go ahead and give us something real quick. I know you got something in there that you can just share with us real quick before we keep going into our questions.
Oh, okay. This is a piece called Fall from Grace, and it's important to recognize that you can't focus on your past, you know what I mean, and be dominated by it. So I say, we must resist the temptation to reflect on a time when our reputations were tattered. We must forcefully fight to recollect and recall on the times that matter, the times of pure joy, hugs, kisses, and smiles, the time when you were truly innocent like a blessed child. Rage against this machine because you're more than just a cog in the wheel. If you want to take a drink out of life, you got to pop the top and break the seal and have a rebirth. Question every answer and rethink every thought. Rebuke those who come to minimize the victories of your battles fought.
Mm,
Replicate successful blueprints and become your own boss. Repercussions of not doing so will surely stunt your growth. Now your corner offers awaits, but first you must take this oath. And there's no hands to place on holy books, no hands to raise in the air. This oath is a personal promise to give yourself a fair shot at winning, a fair shot at the top, a fair shot at repletion. So do you and be you and shine through and live to completion. This is no courtroom. I'm not the bailiff and there is no judge. This
mm,
oath is a personal promise to stand your ground and never to budge. You know, Focus on your beginnings and never on your ends. Always do what you have to do to focus on your wins. However, you are your own witness, and there's no rescinding this pledge. Just think back to the time when you was too afraid to step to the ledge. But
mm,
now you're a jumper, and there's no negotiator here to talk you down. But your haters and doubters have tuned in to watch you fall face flat down. But what they don't know is that you're not the you that they thought they knew, because the story they'll have to tell will be the one of how you flew. And then they'll come around saying they believed in you. They had faith in you the whole time. They knew that you could do it after previously boasting and bragging on your many failures and how often you blew it. So fly hard, fly far and soar high, and don't ever come down, because it's not the fall from grace that hurts the most. It's the sudden stop when you hit the ground.
wow. Give you some snaps.
Snap, 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 snap.
Oh wow. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
that's called fall from grace, man. It's important for us to understand that you're gonna fall, and the falling don't hurt. It's that sudden, that bomb, that boom when you hit the ground. But just continue to be focused on your future and focus on flying far and soaring high. Because you can't be dominated by reflections on your past. Because I got a past, you got a past. Everybody has a story.
That's right.
Everybody got a past that they're not proud of. They don't want to share it. They might be ashamed of it. Some people got mental health issues. Some people got molestation and rape in their background and incest from uncles and daddies and brothers and cousins. This thing is real. I grew up in an environment where that was real. I've seen those testimonies. I lived it. I've seen it. You know what I mean? Addiction with their parents and parents and stuff like that, abuse in their homes, and they don't want to tell it. They're ashamed of that. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And that's rotten, is eating at them inside. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you to fly far, open up, be your own witness, jump from the ledge and share your story, tell your story, testify like the morning motivation was the other day. Testify and don't be dominated from your past. When you were at your worst, it happened. You got to move on and push on and show your greatness.
Right. And that's just not for people who is incarcerated, for y'all who want to know. That's for anybody, because we all have a story. We all have things that we have been through. And a lot of times, like what Aaron said, people are ashamed to tell it because of what people may say or what people
Facts.
may think or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. But you don't know what your story can help somebody else. And even bring healing to you as well. So,
Man, they always say forgiveness is not for the forgiven, it's for the forgiver.
yeah, yes. I was telling I think my sister or somebody the other day that when you have been forgiven much, you tend to forgive much. So I
Yeah.
don't tend to, so people, a lot of people come to me and I said, honey, trust and believe, I got a story too. Okay. I have a story and I've been forgiven. So what can make me not forgive you when you haven't even did it against me? So
Mhm.
but definitely tell the story. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for that. Now I want to ask you, you've been out 6 months now, about 6 months.
7 months yesterday. Officially 7 months yesterday on the
Okay,
second.
now you don't been in the Newsweek. All right, so far you don't did all this writing, you don't got a book, you don't. How did all this happen in 7 months? Who do you give credit to? Where's all this stuff coming from? 7 months now.
Man, first and foremost, I got to give credit to the creator, man, because the creator created me. He gave the power that I have inside of me to do whatever I've accomplished, whatever is deemed high and mighty and beloved in the eyes of the people is only a reflection of the creator who created the sun, moon, and the stars. So, what I mean, I have that power within me. So that is what people are seeing. I'm just embodying it in flesh, and that's what people are seeing. On an earthly matter, man, I got to give credit, secondly, to my brother and my mother.
They go mom.
I came out in April to the halfway house with nothing, zero, absolutely nothing. Age 41, been in prison 13 years, and I came home with nothing, zero money, checking, savings, had like $200 on my account, and that was probably some money my brother sent me months ago. You know what I mean? Like I came home with nothing. So, but it takes a village. So I was able to get a springboard into my new life by excellent support system, my brother and my mother being there for moral support and financial, physical, material support is necessary. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And they were there for me. And I got to give absolute credit to the role they played in me being able to breathe and think and have the opportunity to start and navigate my new life without the pressures of bills and this and that weighs on heavy on the shoulders of regular civilians. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, hard work, man. I've been waiting a long time. I did the time. I
That's
did
right.
the time. I did the time, Alicia. I did it. Yeah, I'm talking about
Yep.
every single day. And I always gave the analogy that I was at the starting line like a track athlete, waiting for the start man to shoot the gun.
Hmm.
I was sitting there with my tail end in the air, just itching, waiting to take off running. And every time, you don't shoot. You never
Hmm.
shot the gun. I got to get out the blocks and stretch and get ready and get back to reading and studying and researching, getting excited, getting happy. A new idea pop up. Oh man, I want to write a book. I'm running around telling people and I can't do nothing. Then I'm back at the starting line. I'm anxious. I'm anxious to run away. I'm anxious to take off.
Hmm.
So when the time came for me to go, I was ready. I've been training. I've been in training camp for a long time. I've been working on my routes, working on my plays, my dribble, my shot, everything. I've been working. So now that I'm in the game, now that I'm out and that I'm here, I'm playing the game of life. It's time for me to get busy, and I'm trying to be a star. I'm trying to be an MVP. So
All
the
right.
credit, so the credit comes with the work I put in, the preparation.
There you go.
Because it's game time now. Like the
Hmm.
treadmill of life is moving fast. It's moving
Hmm.
fast out here, and
Hmm.
really, really, not many people care. They'll leave you behind. They'll
Hmm.
blow the horn, move around you, and get in front of you, and take on off, and leave you wherever you trying to stay. So, you know,
Hmm.
so man, damn, the work comes from the progress and the success that I've seen, and the progress that I've made comes from being prepared and getting ready to be released and doing my time the proper way so that when I touch down, I can show and prove to the people who vested so much time and love and prayers into me and hoping that I changed my mentality. My mother crying out to the Lord and my brother fussing at me when I was in the streets and even while I was incarcerated, hoping, not knowing if I have changed or not, no matter what I said, but just not
Right.
seeing it yet. You know what I mean? So I owe it to them. It'd be a disservice for me to get out and to do anything contrary to what I was talking about doing on that phone for 15 minutes at a time. If I go anything disaccording to that plan, then it's giving somebody to say, see, we
Yep.
knew we knew you were just another person just talking in jail. Y'all always talking in jail. Well, it's my
Hmm.
goal. It's my goal to rewrite that narrative. So people say, man,
Hmm.
I know a brother who came home and that brother went slap. that brother went ham when he touched down, and I want to be that example that somebody can hold up and be like, man, yeah, I know somebody who did it. They stuck to the script, and it can be done because that
That's
brother
true.
did it. I seen it happen. So,
That's right.
just that fire that's within is really was driving all this, and I've been fortunate. Been fortunate enough to have
And
a good
you can
network.
tell you was ready when the door is open. All right, here it is. And like you said, you was preparing. You was preparing. You didn't just waste the time. You knew
Nah,
that when that door was going to open, I'm going to be ready to do what I got to do.
yeah, 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 no doubt, no doubt. I mean, hey man, I was a hustler before I went in. I was hustling the wrong thing. I was hustling the drugs and the cocaine and the crack and the marijuana and the pills. Like I was in that game, but I was a hustler. I was getting busy. I was up and down the road and moving real fast, and I paid for it.
Right,
I paid a dear price for that. You
right.
know, so now on the flip side, legally, I'm still a hustler. I still got that drive. I still got that burn, that push. You know what I mean? Like I'm going for it. You know what I mean? Just
Mhm.
not illegal. I'm not risking my freedom or my life anymore or trying to hurt
Right.
nobody else. But for my dreams and my goals and ambitions, I'm mashing the gas on this thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's what I believe is our purpose, what I'm supposed to do. So
Mhm.
just like I paid a dear price for my old life, I expect to earn a good price for my new life because I'm putting in the work for this. You know what I mean? I'm working hard.
What are your children saying to you today? What are they saying?
Well, my teenagers, my 15 and 16-year-old, they don't say nothing. They're quiet. They don't, and they don't live with me. They're not seeing me up close yet. You
Okay.
know what I
Okay.
mean? Hope to have my son with me. Me and him living together for his last 3 years of high school coming up soon. So I
Okay.
hope to get him with me and really, really do my job as his father for the last 10 years and really have that impact on him. But they're
Okay.
not seeing me up close and personal and seeing this in the flesh. They're seeing it like really everybody else is seeing it or not seeing it at all. Kids don't follow their parents online. You know what I mean? Like my son on Snap, he's not seeing me on Facebook, you know
Right.
what I mean? Or IG, but he saw my book the other day and sent me a picture and he called me on FaceTime and he was looking at the book while I'm talking to him. And I wanted to feel like the facial expression he was making was like, man, like proud in his head, maybe like, man, this is my pops, this is my dad. It's pretty cool. My dad got a book with his name on the cover and his picture, and it got my picture in here and poems about me in this book. You know what I mean? So I would hope that they're proud of me and that they could hold me up, or I may be the one they brag on to their friend, like, man, my dad did this or my dad did that. I hope that when I'm not around, that's the narrative being told. My oldest daughter, she I think she cool with what I'm doing. She ain't really giving me no pats on the back either, but I think she pretty cool with what's going on. You know what I mean? Like she's a young adult now. You know what I mean? And me going away affected her in a different way. We have yet to really, really, really get to the nitty gritty of really how me being away affected her. But I think overall, my children are kind of happy with the moves I'm making and the way I'm going about things, and I hope so. So that's all I can do.
All right. Let me do this before we go to the next part. Now I was watching you on Facebook and you was at some schools and then I see you with some young kids. Now, what are you telling them? Are you just telling them your story or are you telling them don't do? What is your message when you go to the schools and talk to the children and young adults?
Both of those, tell them. I try to share the story is the story. Now how I tell it to different audiences changes depending on the audience. I
Right,
can't tell a 6 year old the same thing I tell a 56-year-old or a
right,
26-year-old. But
right,
I'm telling a story in creative ways, trying to tap in because the kids are smarter than we think they are.
right.
You know what I mean? Let's not get that twisted. They see things, they know things, they hear conversations, they know what I'm talking about when I talk about it. They're not lost. If I say something about crack cocaine or cocaine or drugs or weed, they're
Hmm.
not lost to that. They know what that is. You
Right.
know what I mean? So for one, I try to be just transparent up front. But the main thing is I try to use my story as a springboard to get them to not follow my path, to show them that, like, yo, listen, you will be hurt. You know what I mean? You will be hurt. You will hurt people. You will hurt people. And there's a way for you to be happy and to enjoy the material things that's normally driving your actions, which is some gain of material wealth, whether it be physical clothes, shoes, jewelry, or cars or money. There's something material driving your actions. And my purpose is to say, you can have that material thing without doing what I did, because doing what I did will remove you from the face of the earth almost. You will
Hmm.
almost die. or
Mhm.
sometimes people do die living the life I led. I was fortunate. So that's what I'm telling them. I'm trying to encourage them, to let them help them believe that you have the power to not fall to temptation. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to fall to the first person who says, "Man, take this little dime bag of weed. I'll split it with you. We can both make $5." And this little boy is 6 or 7 years old. He just made $5 on his own. He wants to make $5 again, and then they want to make $10. And now next thing you know, by the time he's in third grade, school is over with. He already making $50 a day. At 9 years old.
Mhm.
This is when it's happening. It's how it's happening. It's important that we tap into the children before we get caught up. So it's because there's some folks who don't give a damn.
Mhm.
It's some folks who just don't care about them kids. They don't care
Mhm.
about nobody getting hurt. They don't care
Mhm.
about nothing but their dollar and
Mhm.
making that money and pleasing their flesh. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? And that's the real thing. So
That's right.
that's my opposition. I was that person. I was
Mhm.
that guy. I used to be him. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So those people who think like that, they are now my former self. They're my opposition, but I got an obligation to help them as well. You know what I mean? But I can only invest so much energy in rebuilding versus building. So,
Right.
so my purpose is to build the children and plant seeds that I can plant and water those seeds, and then we can repair some broken men and broken women as the time goes on. But my first purpose and my first goal and ambition is to build up the youth and make sure they don't go the way that some of the ones I got to repair has already went.
Right. Right. Now, do they, the kids? Because sometimes they think that's an achievement, or when they find out somebody been to prison, they be like wanting. Do some of them come to you kind of like that, like man, or wow, or seem amazed, or they just be kind of taking it in?
Man, I get that treatment from adults too. Oddly enough, like some
Oh,
people, like some people come up and offer me reverence and respect. Not so much because I was in the streets, but I think from adults is because you made it through.
okay. Mm-hmm.
Some people who's experienced any version of it, juvie or jail, they know that it's a painful time. So when I tell somebody I was incarcerated or in custody for 13 years, they like, whoa, oh my God. Then, but it's like, man, like I salute you for going through that, for
Mm-hmm.
making it through. Now, I,
Mm-hmm.
I, I think the children have in some areas, in some arenas, have been taught that that's a badge of honor that yeah, I went upstate. But I think the narrative is all about surviving upstate, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily going. But I think people outside of that don't really understand that. There is not pride in going. It's
Mm-hmm.
pride in, if you end up going, you survived and you
Yes.
made it
Yes.
back out. That
Yeah.
becomes the pride. But I think it get misconstrued, even in the minds of the ones who saying it, that it's cool to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you went, it's proof that you were in the streets, that you had an interaction with the law enforcement, and you went through that court system, and you stood up and you fight, and you worked your plea bargain down low, and you made them give you 5 years versus them giving you 10 years because you negotiated. You were able to buy a lawyer and spend your money, and all that plays a part into it. But the children don't really show. I haven't seen that yet, but I've seen it before. But in my interactions thus far, I haven't had children come up to me and offer me that respect, as in like, oh man, you went to prison, or that's what's up, man, that's what's up. I haven't seen it in that form, but I do know it exists, and
Yeah.
it's something that we got to battle against.
Yeah.
Because my opposition, like I said, my opposition they're the ones who's putting that, planting that seed in the minds of the youth, and it's something that I got to work against.
Right. And I tell them all the time, I said it definitely wasn't a badge of honor. I'm not bragging or boasting. I just, I got caught up. I did it. I did the time, and I'm out trying to make a difference, but I'm not bragging that I went. It
No,
wasn't, definitely not bragging that I went and had to
no,
spend 10 years away from my family, or had to work for this 23 cents or a dollar an hour, as well. It wasn't no cupcake, you know.
no, no, no. It's mental. It's mental.
Yeah.
It's a mental battle. However, in trying to reach certain demographics and in trying to reach and tap into certain people, I know that there are certain people who think it's cool,
Mhm.
right? And being a student and a reader and trying to understand the psychology and the workings of the human mind, how to use what someone finds valuable to lure them in so that you can capture their mind and steer them in the way that they don't even know they need to go.
Mhm.
I have
Mhm.
good intentions. I'm not a predator by any means, So I know that I have to even play on the minds of some people who think that what I used to do was cool. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So I can get with that person. I can talk about what I do, what I used to do, in a manner that they be like, yeah, bro, yeah, that's what's up, yeah, yeah, yeah. But then I know where to. Now that I know I got them and they're listening, I can take them through the journey with me, so
Mm-hmm.
they can see that, oh wow, you look at it like that. Like, yeah, I do look at it like that. Even
Mm-hmm.
though we were just talking about moving packs and going up the road and getting that money, but this is how I view that now. You know what
Right.
I mean? And that's what's cool. Not what I used to do. What I'm doing now, that's what's popping. That's what's fly. That's what's black excellence is. That's what that is
That's
now.
right.
And
Mm-hmm.
and then I know that I can take their minds there with me now. But at first I had to go back and capture it using what I used to do, and helping them identify with me that way. And
Okay.
now so they can identify with the new me.
Wow. Now let me ask you this. I know there's a lot of people who wants to write books, and I know myself included. I find out having a hard time, a difficult time trying to really get started. How did you get started? How did it all like okay, because 6 months, 7 months, okay, and now we got a book, okay. So what
Yeah.
is some of the steps, or what can you encourage some of us that wants to, can't, how to, what? Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh man. First and foremost, my books right now are the result of me doing the time. I was writing. I was
Okay.
writing. I was writing. I was writing. I still got my original handwritten copies where I dated them, because I knew I would be looking back at these writings years later, and they're dated 2018, 2017, 2019. The poems in my book are from 5, 6, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, some of them. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? But so I had the time. That's number one. You have to have time. You got to have time to do it, or make time to do it, or sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately for me, I was incarcerated with a lot of time. So I wrote. I made the most of that time. I could have been playing ball, shooting dice, playing spades, doing whatever I wanted to do on the yard, or doing anything. But I chose to write whenever I could. So there's platforms out there: Kindle Direct Publishing, Ingram Sparks, Book Baby. There's several different outlets that help people. Help people. Thank you, Shireen, for the congratulations on the book. I appreciate that. Um, there are several outlets out there that help people write their book. Kindle Direct Publishing is the most famous, owned by Amazon. And really, if you got your book or whatever you want to put on in between the covers, if you got that on your computer file, you can upload that to Amazon, create an account just like you would create an account for any other business accounts or payment accounts, and you can publish your book for free. Amazon does not charge you to publish your book. They sell your book, or they help you promote. You can promote it, and they'll print it to whoever buys it, and you get a cut of the sales. But in order to put your book on Amazon and get it ready for sale, it costs absolutely nothing, and that's my word.
Okay.
So if you got something to say, don't underestimate what your words are and what your message is. And if it's pretty or not pretty, I'm telling you, it's tons of work that's not pretty that's out there for sale, and is winning, is making money. Some of it ain't making money,
Right.
but it's out there. Someone can still say, "I did this."
You're right. You're right. You're definitely right.
So take the time, do your time, do your time out here, and put your story together, put your poem together, put your picture book together, put your journal together. If you've been writing in your journal, that's a book.
Okay. Yeah, so a summary of your story is just a collection of things that you went through incarcerated or different times or season during your incarceration.
My book, Outside the Margin for Error, Prisoner's Poem Collection, is exactly that. It's a poem collection. It's about 75, I think, 75, 76 poems, 77, and these are what I say justice related poems. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So they're all related to my highs, my lows, my frustrations, my anger, my love, my pain, my passion, related to the system, related to my incarceration, related to the court system, related to the justice system in general, and what I experienced from being a father, from being a lover, from losing my family, from losing my old woman, my old lady, and my girlfriend at the time, from losing her and our family being torn apart, from being abandoned and not having a lover in my life, a woman to who I felt cared for my well being the way I wanted them to my frustrations with my celly or the guys I'm doing time with who don't care about their future or fighting their case or getting home to their family, to just my frustrations with history and the narrative about the 13th Amendment and slavery and the extension of incarceration being that, so the book is a compilation of those emotions and me creatively expressing my thoughts, to try to put that into something in a way that a reader will find that and be like, damn, I like what he said. And I like how he said it. I like that, and that matters to me. I want to say something of substance, but I want to be creative. And I want somebody to be like, yo, I haven't heard it put that way before. And that's what I pride myself in. And I hope that when the readers purchase the book and they see that and they read those words, they be like, man, I felt that, but I never felt it like that. But I like that, and that's my goal, to get that, elicit that emotion out of the reader.
All right. Now, so you do your motivations Monday through Friday?
Nah, I do them primarily Monday through every day. I try to hit every day. I try my best to hit 7 days a week. I've tapered off slightly over the last couple of weeks, but for the most part, man, for about 6 months straight, since about September, I've been hitting every single day of the week, as much as I can.
All right. So this may not be the morning, but it's evening. So I need you to give us some Sunday evening motivation or something to bring us through the week, and then we're going to let you tell how people can contact you, how they can get a book. So, what we gonna call it? Some Sunday evening motivation.
Oh man, hey man. Let me say this, man. Hello world. I am Aaron Onelove Kinzer, and this is your Sunday evening motivation. Today, I want to tell you to stand up, stand on business. As they say, stand on your business. What are you about? What moves you? What motivates you? What do you think is going to motivate and move someone else? What do you think about you is going to inspire someone else? Whatever that is your business. And I'm telling you to stand on that. Stand 10 toes down. Stand on business. Don't let anyone sway you or swerve you off your square. Another phrase, stand on your square. Stand on your 360. Be who you are at all times. Do your time. Never let a second waste. Never let a minute go by where it can be said you was just playing. You wasn't meaning what you were saying. Say what you mean and mean what you say 100% of the time. And I guarantee you that life will reciprocate that to you. And the ones who are not standing on business will run from you. And the ones who are will gravitate to you, and your life will be 100% better. I am Aaron Onelove Kinzer. This is your Sunday motivation. Sunday evening motivation. Jesus is the key to reentry podcast motivation. Y'all have a blessed day. Peace.
Thank you. I'm telling you, I'm gonna stand on business.
Stand on business. 10 toes.
That's it. I gotta do it. So tell people how to reach you, how to contact you. I got your LinkedIn here flashing above, but if they want to get a book, go ahead and give us all of that.
Oh man, Aaron Kinzer, man. I'm primarily on every social media platform that you can find. I'm there. Morning motivations, putting my videos out there, putting my promos out there. You can find me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, X, Threads. And if I left one out, hey, I'm on that one too. I just can't remember what it is. But just search my name. Google my name. If you can't find me, I'll pop one of my social media links that pop up on Google. Type my name, Aaron Kinzer, AARONKINZER. I'm there. You know what I mean? You'll find my writing. You'll find my articles. You'll find my book. The book, Outside the Margin of Error, a prison poem collection is available on Amazon right now. Don't miss the opportunity to purchase the book. Get your own copy. It's available. If you are into somebody sharing their pain, passion, love, sharing their experience, 100% no cut card, being transparent about what they've experienced and not being ashamed of who they are and what they've experienced, this is the book for you. If you're a reader and you know somebody who's a reader, buy this book, share it, give it away, do whatever you want to do with it, but get your copy. It's available on Amazon right now. Type my name in, Aaron, AARON, Kinzer, KINZER. this book will show up outside the margin of error, a prisoner's poem collection. You will be touched and you will be moved to act.
Bless you. Wow. Amen. Thank you for that. Thank you just for blessing us today, just sharing the things that not so much what you've been through, but how you overcame them. And a lot of times we want to just stay stuck in that. But there's things that we can do to get out of that situation.
Without a doubt. Without a
Seven
doubt.
months. 7 months. There's people who haven't even been to prison and they're not doing what you're doing. You know,
I
you
mean,
know,
that's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a
they not
fact.
even they not even doing it. So, kudos to you. Bless you for everything that you're doing. And I know the sky is the limit. I know it's nothing but up, up, up. You continue to motivate. When my pastor says something, and he said, "What you make happen for other people, God will make happen for you." Okay.
Without a doubt.
So as you continue to giving out and sharing your story and sharing motivation, encouraging people to stand on our business, to testify, to mind our business. I got that one too.
Mind,
So
mind your business.
mind.
Mind your business.
That's right. Let's do that. So, congratulations to you and everything that you're doing. Thank you for accepting the invitation to be on the podcast. And I tell you all, just wait for me. We got another one in about 2 weeks. We got our financial coach, Shireen Reeves, is going to be with us to share how just because we come out of a situation don't mean we got to stay in that situation. So I'm
Facts.
waiting for that. I'm waiting to hear what she has to say. You stay on. Don't log off when I tell everybody bye. But thank you all for tuning in once again. God bless you all. And remember, Jesus is the key to reentry.